Have your egg prices gone down yet? Even the conservative Wall Street Journal editorial page, run ultimately by Rupert Murdoch, is now attacking Donald Trump over Trumponomics. Let's discuss. I'm Dave Aronberg, former state attorney for Palm Beach County, aka the Florida lawman here on the MeidasTouch network. It's not just people on the left who are attacking Donald Trump for his economic ideas. Now, if you want to reduce inflation, well, why are you imposing tariffs that only increase the price of goods? Why do you want to lower interest rates, even though the chair of the Fed, Jerome Powell, says not yet? That is just going to spur more inflation. Injecting more money into the economy will spur more inflation. This is Economics 101. But the king of debt, President Donald Trump, those are his own words, king of debt, still wants to move forward with these policies that will create a sugar high for the economy, but cause prices to do nothing but spike even higher. But you don't have to believe me on this. You can just look at Rupert Murdoch's Wall Street Journal, the opinion page, which has backed Trump, which bashed Kamala Harris. Well, they are criticizing Donald Trump again, this time on Trumponomics and rising inflation. The president calls for easier money, even though consumer prices keep rising. Does he want even higher prices? Now, it's not the first time that the Wall Street Journal editorial page has criticized Trump. Just in the last few weeks, they criticized Donald Trump on the dumbest trade war possible, the trade war that he was about to impose in going after Canada and Mexico for the automatic 25% tariffs because of some undefined immigration goal that Trump had. Well, after the Wall Street Journal editorial page bashed Trump and after the markets started collapsing based on those tariffs, Trump backed off. In fact, didn't even put them into existence before he backed off, showing that he does care very much about what conservative media thinks. He does care very much about what the stock market thinks. And so he, as predicted, cut a deal where he said, we're now secure the border because of the deal he cut. Well, it was a deal to send, some extra Mounties to the northern border to have some troops on the southern border, which had already been agreed to by Canada and Mexico, respectively, during the Biden administration. So it was just a saving face measure. Because he did not want to move ahead with those tariffs and upset the markets and piss off Rupert Murdoch. Well, he did it again. This is not on the tariffs, but now on his plan to have a looser money supply. According to the Wall Street Journal, and here's the best line, the very first line of this editorial is the best one. Does President Trump understand money? Okay, had to pause there because that's just amazing. That's something that's got to just really bother him, no doubt. I mean, does President Trump understand money? Not money as in cash, but the supply of money, the price of money, as measured by interest rates and their impact on inflation. The answer would appear to be no, after Mr. Trump called for lower interest rates on Wednesday. The same day, the Labor Department reported an increase in inflation for the third straight month. Quote, interest rates should be lowered, something which would go hand in hand with upcoming tariffs, Mr. Trump posted on his social media site. The layers of intellectual confusion here are hard to parse, especially since higher tariffs will mean higher prices on the affected goods. But perhaps the president wants the public to look elsewhere when assigning blame for rising prices. Yet, if he's trying to blame the Federal Reserve, which controls short-term interest rates, he has the analysis backward. Rising inflation means the Fed must be more cautious in cutting rates. This is how financial markets read the news that the Consumer Price Index, CPI, rose 0.5% in January. Long bond rates rose sharply, with a 10-year Treasury note popping to 4.63% from 4.53%. This reflects market worry over inflation. The concern is warranted based on the trend in CPI, which has risen each month since a 0.2% increase in October. The 12-month increase in CPI is now back to 3%, up from a recent trough of 2.4% in September. So-called core prices, less food and energy, rose 0.4% for the month and are now up 3.3% over the last 12 months. The price increases were broad-based, hitting insurance, used cars and trucks, airline fares, medical care, haircuts, daycare, sporting events, cable television, and more. Yeah, we've all seen our prices go up. And remember, Trump said he'd bring them down. Now, in reality, presidents get too much credit for the economy when it's good and too much blame for the economy when it's bad. But it was always unfair to target President Biden over the price of eggs when there were so many other factors at play. I mean, now all of a sudden, Trump supporters are talking about those factors. Well, bird flu, and then there's international economics, and there's all these market forces at play. It's not Trump's fault. Okay, but why didn't you give Biden the same grace that you gave Trump? Because it's all politics. I wonder all those people now who are so upset about the price of eggs that they voted for Trump, are they still having those economic anxieties, or are they just ignoring it because their guy got elected? It was always a con. It was always a sham that Trump getting elected would lower these prices, unless you have deflation, which wasn't going to happen. That wasn't going to happen. But also, he didn't have a policy for it. I mean, there was the Inflation Reduction Act, and once you do away with that, well, you shouldn't be surprised that prices are going up. You shouldn't be surprised when you're doing inflationary things, like talking down Jerome Powell so he can lower the rates further, or put on tariffs. Even now, Donald Trump is admitting that, yes, prices will go up, at least in the short term. Okay. Can't blame that on Democrats and DEI. There's only so much you can blame on Democrats and DEI before people start to say, But of course, the time to understand these things was really before the election, not after the election, because after the election, it's too late. Back to the Wall Street Journal. The Powell Fed is likely to ignore Mr. Trump, and well, it should. But the president's demand illustrates another risk of Trumponomics. As a real estate investor, Mr. Trump has long been an easy money guy. He likes low rates and a weak dollar, which could lead to higher prices, all other things being equal. As a political matter, an inflation revival may be the biggest threat to the Trump presidency. Mr. Trump was elected as voters reacted to inflation and falling real incomes under Joe Biden. Real average earnings are flat over the last 3 months as inflation has bounced up. If this persists, Mr. Trump won't have a 53% job approval rating for long. Ominous words by some of Trump's supporters. And remember who these guys are at the editorial board of the Wall Street Journal. When it came to choosing sides in the election, they kept their official neutrality because they don't endorse presidential candidate in presidential elections, but they made it clear who they like best. Right before the election, October 30th, they had an editorial that said, a Harris victory means a fourth Obama term. At home, she's no centrist. Abroad, she seems unprepared for the dangers ahead. Yes, a fourth Obama term. Yeah, how was the economy under Obama? I seem to remember it being pretty good. How was inflation under Obama? I seem to remember it being under control. So, you think they have buyer's remorse? Well, if they did, they won't say. But we'll keep calling it out here on the MeidasTouch Network. I'm Dave Aronberg, aka the Florida Law Man. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, share with a friend, leave a comment below. Also, check out our sister channel, Court Authorities, where we meet at the intersection of law, politics, and true crime. Just did a video on Bryan Kohberger and his lawyer's attempts to use some new evidence as a way to get him off those quadruple murder charges in Idaho. Spoiler alert, ain't gonna happen. So I'll see you over there, and I'll also see you here next time.
Can't get enough Meidas? Check out the Meidas Plus Substack for ad-free articles, reports, podcasts, daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, and more. Sign up for free now at MeidasPlus.com.